Hi there and welcome to The Ride Live. We're here at our friends Giltrap, Skoda in Newmarket once again. It's me, just me today. Can you believe it? Tim, Paige and John are all overseas. It's winter in New Zealand here, so who could blame them? Now, I've got a very special guest here with us tonight, Allister Worrall from WH Worrall in Penrose here in Auckland, one of the leading distributors of bike products. So welcome to the show, Allister.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Now, to kick things off, Allister, you guys have been a fantastic supporter of the ride for the last couple of years. And if you watch our videos, you'll see lots of thank yous to Allister and the team because you guys have helped us out with products for review and unboxing and stuff. But can you, for those that don't know about your business and for those at home, can you just give us a bit of an overview of what WH Worrall does, what you import, who the brands you represent are?
Yeah, well, we're a distributor. We're a sell to retailers. We're not a public facing company, so we're not known so well by the general public, but more by the cycle trade. But we're the distributor in New Zealand for Cannondale bikes, GT, SRAM, and all the SRAM brands, which is RockShox, Quark, that sort of thing. Also Giro and Bell helmets, Blackburn, Conti tires, Tax trainers, Finish Line products. So yeah, that's the main ones.
They're awesome brands.
There's a few more too. I mean, there's Ritchie as well.
Zip. Yep.
Yeah, Zip's part of SRAM.
Yep. Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, those brands. There's a few smaller ones. Cushcore. Tire inserts. We do Wheelsmith spokes. We've got Tifosi eyewear. What have I forgotten? Cane Creek, headsets and shocks, that sort of thing. Yeah, there are some others I can't think of right now.
So obviously, Allister, WH Worrall, so this is a family business. How long has it been going for?
Yeah, it is family business. I'm the fourth generation in the business, Mike. We started in 1901. We weren't in bikes. I believe we got into bikes in about the 1930s. So it sort of morphed from being a general merchant to a bicycle distributor. We've been doing bikes since then. Worrall,
is that Irish, Scottish?
It's English. It's English.
Just English, right?
Yeah, I believe it's, I can't say I know a lot about it, but there is a town called Worrall somewhere in northern England, yeah. But yeah, solid English name. And
do you know why the business got into bikes at all?
My grandfather was the one who got us into bikes, and he thought they were the future. He liked riding bikes, and he loved them, and he was, a big fan of the bicycle, and I guess he was right.
So when you were a young boy, was it exciting visiting the business? Did you have anything to do with the business when you were a younger boy?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, I was always in there. School holidays was I was the oldest of the family, so that was where I got sent for the holidays, and usually sweeping the floors and tidying up and all the sort of crappy jobs, I guess, that you give the school kid. But that was great fun. I mean, as a kid, you're surrounded by, it was a very old world style warehouse, it was in Anzac Ave in the centre of the city. It was a old style 3-story warehouse, nothing like what you see today. So it was full of little nooks and crannies, and there was all sorts of old bikes and things stashed all over the place. It was far different from what you'd expect a warehouse to be today. I have very fond memories of the place. It was,
And were you a rider? Did you do road riding or BMX, or what were you involved in any sort of cycling when you were younger as well?
Yeah, I did quite a lot of road racing when I was a teenager, and mountain biking came along when I was towards the end of my high school years. It was really the first mountain bikes came out in the late 80s, and I was straight onto that. Did a bit of mountain bike racing, which was really cross-country racing. I did more when road racing was really more my thing. When in my teens, early 20s. I've just kept riding bikes for fun and fitness and travel and everything since.
Awesome. And so what is the business like today? How many people do you have working for you?
There's about 20 people all up, including sales reps and in-house staff, warehouse staff, workshop, admin, customer service. So there's, around about 20.
And in terms of the brands that you've dealt with, there's obviously been a few changes over the years. How has the industry changed in, say, the last 10, 15 years with things like, some brands are going direct to consumer, there's a lot of more online sales. So how has your business sort of changed in more recent times as those sort of things have kicked in?
In terms of the channel of distribution, we're still the same. We're still a distributor selling to bicycle retailers who would sell to a consumer. We're not selling direct to consumer. But you're right, there are a number of other brands that have come along, gone direct to consumer. The internet has also really allowed New Zealand consumers to purchase not just at their local bike shop, but anywhere in the globe. So I guess competitively, we're competing against our competitors selling largely the same products from outside the country. So that's quite a challenge for us, especially. There's always somewhere that's cheaper in the world, and there's sometimes inherent advantages with not paying GST and things like that, which are always quite tough to compete against. I think the way brands are marketed probably has changed the most, and again, the internet has made a huge difference here. The pro cycling in all forms is in our living rooms. You can watch the Tour de France all night, every night for the next 3 weeks. You could watch the Giro. You can watch almost any big professional race, and mountain biking, especially with Red Bull TV, for example. All of those athletes are really much more accessible, and therefore the marketing around those athletes and those events is much more relevant than it ever used to be. And I think also local athletes probably don't have the same effect anymore because the international athletes are so much more accessible. And also brands can, with social media now, of course, they're able to touch or reach consumers in a way that we could never do before. So pace of change just never slows down. It's
Awesome. Now you mentioned the tour. Have you been following the tour? You've been up late at night?
I was up till about 2 a.m. last night, Paige.
And if you're a racing fan in New Zealand, it's a sort of an Antipodean thing, isn't it, to have to be up at sort of between 2 and 4 in the morning to catch the racing. Yeah. With bleary-eyed cycling fans. But it's kind of cool. But given that we are kind of off season and on the other side of the world, how do brands kind of see us? Are we relevant to the broader cycling industry? Are we a test bed? Is there any advantage to us being down here? Our timeline, our seasonality, is there any kind of advantage, or how do the big brands sort of see the New Zealand or the Australasian marketplace?
I think the answer is New Zealand and Australian markets are seen kind of differently, mainly because the face of cycling sport in both countries actually is a bit different. They've got a lot more road cycling in Australia. Their mountain biking scene is a lot less gravity focused, whereas in New Zealand the mountain biking sport is a lot more enduro, downhill focused, a lot less mountain bike XC, and you do get a lot of those pros coming over to places like Rotorua and Queenstown in the off season. So you end up seeing a lot of brands filming and doing press product releases and a lot of media stuff in New Zealand. Some of our suppliers, like RockShox, for example, have done several product releases in Queenstown and Canterbury. So New Zealand's considered pretty cool, especially in the mountain bike side of things. We're not particularly relevant, I think, in the road scene, but Australia, with the Tour Down Under and a lot more pro riders, has much bigger influence on that.
Do you guys support individual riders?
In terms of up-and-coming riders, we've always supported one of the prominent road teams here, which is now the SBS team. It's James Canny's team. It's really been focused on developing road riders. There's been some pretty good riders come through that over the last 10 years. I think guys like James Fouché, who's doing pretty well over there in Europe at the moment. Heard a lot of rumours about pro teams interested in him at the moment. There's been a number of those guys that have gone on to bigger and better things. That team's been pretty rewarding to be involved with, really, because it's really focused on developing young riders, and I believe they've got a lot more funding for next year too, so they should be able to really step that up to the next level. We've helped. We've sponsored a number of mountain bike younger athletes over the years. Probably the most successful was Scarlett Hagen, which I know was quite a while ago now, but she came from nowhere and won the Junior World Champs. But it wasn't just winning the Junior World Downhill Champs on the day. She would have been second fastest in the Open Women's as well.
Wow.
So that was a pretty cool one to be involved with.
Obviously, there's a lot of evolution in the products and stuff in the industry. But have you jumped on the kind of the e-racing wave? I mean, you guys do tech, so are you a Zwifter? Have you got involved in that kind of stuff?
I haven't done anything with Zwift actually, but tech's train is obviously a big part of the business now, and that's totally entwined with Zwift, which has nothing to do with us. But we're effectively providing the hardware for their software. But I do use those trainers quite a bit. I tend to ride Texas software. They've got a lot of films. They've filmed iconic cycling routes around the world, and I just enjoy riding those really with at home with a nice big screen and turn the stereo up.
What are you seeing in terms of trends? Are you seeing a move? The roads have been on a bit of a decline in the last few years. Are you seeing this gravel buzz that's coming through? Are you seeing
Definitely.
mountain? What are you seeing in terms of trends in your industry?
The the total road market has been declining globally for the last few years. The gravel market has been growing pretty fast. It's quite a hard market to define, and a lot of people define it differently. A lot of countries even define it differently. To some people, it's racing. Especially in the USA, there's a lot of gravel racing. Dirty K is probably by far the most famous one. But it also, that kind of morphs or encompasses bike packing to some degree as well, which is quite a different activity from gravel racing. So bike packing and gravel racing, those genres, those categories, if you like, are definitely the up and comers at the moment. Mountain biking has changed a bit as well. Enduro's come on really strong in the last few years, probably at the expense of downhill. It's probably seen as a lot more approachable. Not that many people can race downhill. I mean, it requires a huge amount of commitment, specialist equipment, and a lot of skills and risk. Enduro's perhaps maybe a little less risky, and it's certainly something that a weekend warrior can do. And mountain bike scene enduro has really been the big mover. And it's also a much bigger influence too over consumers, whereas 10 years ago downhill riders were probably the biggest influence in mountain biking, and I think that's starting to change.
What's your current bike? That's your number one bike, your go-to bike at the moment. What's your build?
I've got a Cannondale Synapse, a high mod Synapse with SRAM red axis and Zip 454 wheels. That's my favourite. It's a beautiful bike. Yeah.
Does the novelty wear off? I mean, when you kind of get sort of on an annual basis releases, does the new helmet, does the new group set, does the new whatever, has the novelty worn off for you, or is it still kind of exciting when that courier package arrives or that shipment arrives?
It hasn't worn off at all. No, I think you've seen some of the bikes that we've released in the last couple of weeks. They're some of the most exciting product I've seen in a long time, and it is. Some people would argue it's evolution, not revolution, but there are technological improvements all the time. Cycling for 100 years has been evolving, and the componentry has been evolving. It's kind of amazing how much innovation there is in bikes, and I don't get sick of it. I don't think any of my staff get sick of it. I still see the same excitement around the office every time something cool and new comes, and I think that's one of the cool things about being in this industry.
Yeah, I've got to say that whenever Tim, myself, John get the opportunity to pop into to Penrose to see you, it's pretty much Christmas every time we do. So
Tim's pretty excitable, that's for sure.
Yeah. If he's watching this, then you better put your order in quick for that new Super 6, because they'll be selling out pretty quick, I reckon. So what's the best part of the job?
Best part, it's hard. I get to work with a lot of brands from around the world. I get to be involved in some of their product planning, and I quite enjoy that because it gives you an international and a global feel for the industry, even though my business is totally reliant on New Zealand-based customers. So I really enjoy working with those brands because you see what's going on in other countries, and you might think of cycling as what's in your neighbourhood or your country, but actually cycling varies, and the way bikes are used varies enormously all around the world. And you think road bikes are road bikes, but yeah, there are quite a lot of regional variations, and I find some of that stuff quite fascinating.
Awesome. And the worst part of the job?
Worst part of the job? Admin.
Paperwork.
Admin, paperwork. Yeah, I mean, there's well, like any business, you've got to keep the bank manager happy.
Have customers evolved at all, or are we still as annoying as we? I mean, in terms of, I don't mean necessarily your direct customers, but do you think the consumers have evolved, or are we more savvy, or are we just as stupid as we've always been?
Consumers have evolved a lot. Yeah. I think the consumer's better informed today than probably they've ever been. The information's at your fingertips. The internet allows you to access information from so many sources. You do get a little bit, sometimes you get, I read on the internet kind of thrown at you, which, is just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true. But
except for everything we've said today.
Except everything we've said today, yeah, okay, yeah. But customers are much better informed. Customers are probably more demanding overall. I mean, they expect high levels of service, high level of performance from their products, and I think they're entitled to it. They're spending, for performance products, they're spending good money. They should get better performance than they got 5 or 10 years ago. Products are evolving, and if they're not evolving, then really they should probably, customers will spend their money elsewhere. They won't put up with inadequate performance or longevity or poor service. They can go elsewhere probably much more easily than they could in the past.
In terms of the future, is there anything that's keeping you awake at night? Are you excited about the future of your industry and your business here in New Zealand?
Yeah, I'm excited. It doesn't keep me awake, but I do. I think cycling's got a great future. I think what I'm really encouraged about is you see local government especially starting to put in more and more cycle-friendly or even dedicated cycling access. It's a global trend. New Zealand's certainly not at the forefront of it by any stretch of the imagination, but we are slowly waking up to the fact that you can't keep putting more cars on the road. Cycling is a really good way to be mobile, to get around your city. It's has massive health benefits, obviously, and more and more people are conscious of that. E-bikes are really adding another dimension to all of those things I've mentioned, especially the urban mobility. I think we've got a great future. I don't think we're going to become obsolete. I don't think there's something that's going to come and crush the bike industry.
You got children, Allister?
Yes, yeah, I've got two.
Is there a succession plan? Have you got your kids interested in the business when you decide to go riding up there into the Pyrenees?
There's no succession plan, but they're only 11 and 12, so I don't really know what they're going to do. But my father's more interested in pressing that one. Look, in 10 years' time, we'll probably have a better idea of where they want to take their careers. But right now, just letting them enjoy being kids.
Excellent. And are you a social media person, Allister? Are you an Instagrammer? Are you a Facebooker? Are you a tweeter? Are you anything?
I'm not a tweeter. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. Look, I'm not the most heavy social media user by any stretch. Certainly not the most advanced one, as everybody in the office will tell you.
Yeah.
But actually, no, Peter Adams is worse than me, but everyone else is definitely more advanced.
And it's a big part of the business now, isn't it? I mean, as soon as those photos and things come through, it's got to go on Instagram, doesn't it, for the new products,
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And we've got a guy in the office who does a fair bit of that. But social media is a really, really important for any brand in any industry. It's the way that we communicate with our customers, really, or potential customers.
Well, Allister, it's been a bloody great having a chat with you, mate. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. It's very good.
And again, I mean, Allister and the team at Worralls have just been so damn supportive of the ride since day dot. We came to you with a concept, and you guys have helped every step of the way. So we really, really do appreciate that, and we're really excited about all the products that you allow us to view in advance and film and whatnot.
Yep.
So yeah, just a big thank you to you and the team for supporting the ride as long as you have, and hopefully it'll continue.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it will, Mike. Yeah, thanks very much.
Otherwise, this video won't go out.
Well, there's plenty more products too. There's always a pipeline. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see you down there soon.
Awesome. So big thanks to Worralls, big thanks to Allister for coming tonight. And as always, thank you to Giltrap, Skoda here, who have provided this awesome place for us to film. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. It makes a huge difference. And if you like this video, click the like button as well. And from Allister and I, we'd like to thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time here on The Ride.